Hi guys, so I am just gonna go over the videos that I didn't, the decks that I didn't cover in my last live. So this is just a quick room scan. Incense, obviously, lighters. My poor plant, I think I ended up killing my succulent, but that's par of the course. All right, so the ones that I didn't go over recently in my live earlier today are the Wildwood Tarot and the Witch's Tarot. So, let's see. The story here says, enter the world of the witch. Here the Hierophant becomes the high priest. The Wheel of Fortune becomes the Wheel of the Year, and Judgment becomes karma. So they sort of go off of the Rider-Waite, but there are some differences here. This is, so the back has this triple goddess here. I think it's just the loveliest marriage of the two, the red and blue contrast. Very appealing. And since we flip them over, the artwork is highly, so these, I'm gonna go over those in a second if you want to stay tuned. So I actually just purchased them. In the time that I've gotten acquainted with them, I really do enjoy them. So I will be going over those in just a few minutes. So the artwork here for the Witch's Tarot, I'm going to kind of prop the box up here so we know what I'm talking about. So they're Ellen Dugan's Witch's Tarot. They do have artwork that kind of carries over from the, what you can see here is the imagery of the Rider-Waite. Of course, they didn't really prepare for a side-by-side, but I might do that sometime later. But even with like the Four of Wands and the Eight of Swords, you can see they're different artwork, but they are carrying over and paying homage to the original photography. This is the Sun card, which I think is really cool. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like the way they showed like young Superman at some points during the first Christopher Reeve movie. And then they have, this is the Seven of Cups, Five of Cups. Again, I'm just sort of showing it random here. The Five of Cups is really lovely with the mermaid sort of head in hand, and does, again, pays really nice homage to the original artwork of the Rider-Waite, which the most of us are familiar with. Just do a quick scan here. They almost remind me of something you'd see, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but they remind me of something that you'd see in like a Magic the Gathering card art. They are Justice, Seven of Swords, all the way through to, oh, I just saw the Ten of Cups, this one. So it really does carry over that beautiful ultimate fulfillment feeling, happy, go lucky. These are both, spectacular omens. And I really like the lily pad details here. They're really, really striking, and you're right, they are beautiful. I purchased these off a smaller retailer, and I'm trying to, I actually don't have her details with me. I'm gonna try and come back and comment that later on. She has a Facebook, a Etsy, a TikTok, and like the whole nine. So I'll do my best to come back and link those in the comment section. The Wildwood Tarot, so they actually have a little bit of a different thing going on. So the Wildwood Tarot will take you Mystic Journey for Answers. The font here is remarkably small. Like, even, it's not only hard to translate on camera, but it's difficult to read. So it says, look into the heart of primeval forest where deep ancestral wisdom lies. Help make sense of your world today. Beautifully illustrated card deck. Wildwood Tarot is fun to use as a meditation system, divination oracle, a source of profound knowledge. These cards draw inspiration from pre-Celtic mythology, belief system steeped in shamanic mysteries. It is easy to quickly access the magical lore of the Wildwood. And diving in here, I really like their Tree of Life interpretation here. And then it just sort of has their copyright on the back. I know, it is true. It's such a stark contrast because you look at the font here and then it's just the way they copied it onto the cardboard is atrociously small. So, but they do, this one I didn't purchase the book for. There is a QRC, one of those codes. You scan them and it pops right up onto your phone. We have, instead of the High Priestess and the Hierophant, we have the Green Man and the Green Woman, which I do really adore. Something fun and a little bit different. I'm going to pull a couple cards out at random here. So we have, yeah, the artwork here is striking. And I know I'm running out of adjectives, but I really do. It's very, like, fable. Like, to me, this is something that, you know, the artwork that you'd expect in a storybook. So we have the Blasted Oak, which I don't want to misspeak on, but I have to assume this is their Hanged Man. We have the Guardian. So this one has sort of a totally different system that I do need to get better acquainted with. I think at some point I will have to go onto my laptop and pull up like their website while I'm filming so that I could be, because I can't see, like, to be live on my phone while looking things up, it just won't quite work. So we have the Sun, which I think, again, very striking. And yeah, there's sort of this totally unique system. I can see them being very useful personally for, like, my meditations. I have, so those set aside, we have the Pole Star, which is their North Star. Moon on Water. The World Tree, which we just learned is obviously their Tree of Life. And then we have, let's see, they have, instead of swords, they go by stones, acorns. So this is Page of Stones, Ace of Stones, just sort of a beautiful carving here. Four, Three of Stones, and their Injustice. Again, this one is clear as day. Oh, so Two of Arrows. I might be mistaken. I hate not having the book pulled up, but I might circle back to this one in a different video because Two of Arrows is obviously a Two of Swords sort of image here with the blindfold. So stones might be pentacles. Yeah, I apologize. This one is, like I said, I only got it about a week ago, and I'm sort of still getting acquainted with how they translate to the Rider-Waite, or if they're totally, I believe this one is totally its own system, to be honest with you. Like, it might have the 78 cards, but I think it does have very much its own thing going on. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say arrows is swords, because like this is their 4 of arrows, which does carry through to like the knight being laid down to rest. I do like so this deck, the Wildwood Tarot and the Spirit Song Tarot, seem to have like this little cheat. I don't know if you want to call it a cheat, but they do have like this thing at the bottom that say how you're feeling, what it's representing for the most part, which would make reading with them as a newbie sort of easier. I would go ahead and say that the Spirit Song deck is much more like brand new user friendly. I think that might be a video I'll do in the future as well, to do like of the decks I have for tarot, how user friendly. Like if you're only going to buy one deck, I think for the most part everybody purchases Rider-Waite as their bread and butter for tarot. But that being said, I do really enjoy this is my Wild Unknown deck that everybody likes when I've used in my other videos previously. I like them for different things. I think the Wild Unknown is very much more correlated to when people are asking me questions about spirit work. I have a much easier time pulling information like that that's more detailed, more intuitive based, and like more heavily, I can't even say it's different types of intuition, and different decks obviously are good for different things. So I'm sorry, based on that little tangent I went on, I want to kind of continue here. So we have arrows and stones, and arrows, stones, bows. Looks like that's the other one. Arrows and vessels. So vessels is definitely cups. That one I don't need a rule book for. So instead of saying chalices or anything else, vessels is absolutely, like this is their Ace of Cups. Look at that. Very lovely. And then bows, looks like that might be the adder. That's interesting too. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm still getting acquainted with these myself. I do know their major arcana. It's sort of this half and half, because there is enough of the artwork correlation here, like 3 of vessels, 2 of vessels. These very definitely do translate to the artwork that the Rider-Waite would represent. And we do very clearly have a sun, a moon. We have a Forest Lovers, which is their Lovers card. The Seer. Yep. Hi, thanks for joining us. Yep, if you want to go ahead and schedule a session, you can go ahead and DM me. I work out of the Kilburn Mill in New Bedford, Mass. I do virtual readings, so that would be over something like either Zoom or Google Meet. So right now I'm just doing a deck review here. Sort of a second unboxing. This one I'm going to continue to show more of only because it is so divergent from the other tarot decks. So this is the Mirror. The Wanderer, very clearly their Fool card. That one I can say for certain. The Hooded Man, clearly their Hermit card. Okay, so like I said, it's still about, like, there is a definite correlation for the major arcana. So I don't feel bad about saying that part, but we do have Six of Vessels, Seven of Vessels, so morning reunion. And then Two of Bows. So this is, I'm going to go ahead and say Bows looks like it's their wands. Yeah, okay. So Ace of Bows here, Page of Bows. I love the otter. For some reason, he really speaks to me. Or ferret? Yeah, more of a ferret. He's not paddling around, but he's a cool looking dude. So yeah, it's just sort of going through trying to find some divergent things to. We have a Knight of Bows, Queen of Bows. This is, I'm sorry about that. Seems like there's an alarm going off or something on the loading bay. So for that, I apologize. The Journey and Balance. The Journey we saw just on the back, it says, okay. Thanks, Lee. Thank you for stopping by. Revealing just Green Man and Woman to the Hooded Man and Blasted Oak. Authors Mark Ryan and John Matthews introduce forest archetypes based in the seasonal festivals. Path may lead. Interesting. Yeah, this one I think I'll have to do like a very, after some research, I would love to have another sit down and truly go over it specifically on my YouTube channel. Frankly, what I did earlier on my YouTube channel, if you're somebody who follows me, is just a very cursory unboxing, really just everything that I got from the store, very much a first impression sort of thing. So while I have sort of introduced them, I haven't really, I think, like I said, a couple different video ideas that I have are to, go through what they are, sort of introduce them individually, create that energy bond that I think is lacking right now, only because they are so brand new and because deck work cartomancy is very much based on the bond that the user has with the deck. So I'm going to get a little bit more broken in, I guess I would say. Is the easy way to put it. So, yeah, that is my Wildwood Tarot. So I would say, based on today's, or this live right now, I think the Wildwood Tarot and the angels, the messages from your angels deck might be ones that I hold off with bringing out to the public only just as I continue getting acquainted with them. But let me know what you think. If there's a video idea that you have for me personally, I would love to give you the opportunity to see that. If you never ask, then I can't create a video around that, but I would be happy to address any questions that you have about tarot. If you've never had your cards read in your life before, it's not a taboo. Please don't be shy. I have, like I said, over 10 years of card reading experience. This is something that I've done for ages, and I only continue to get more and better acquainted as things go on. And I'm really happy that I purchased some new decks to get my feet wet again. There's so many different types of tarot out there. There's no right or wrong deck. There's a deck for everybody, you know, from my Rebel Unicorn deck here. This is obviously Oracle, but there is no wrong deck. You know, these are very straight, pull no punches sort of thing that, again, you know, I don't bring out often. I bring out for people that I'm well acquainted, that I know have that type of humor to them. And there's cards specific to relationships. There's cards specific to spirit work, like we talked about. There's cards that are, like, there's a deck for everything, and there's nothing wrong with a classic Rider-Waite. That's sort of what my bread and butter is too. The stuff that I pull out the most frequently is definitely correlated to Rider-Waite because that's the deck that I've had the longest. That's the deck that people who might be coming in are like expecting to see, kind of. But I'm hoping to continue the educational end of things and to let people know that it's okay to explore and okay to ask questions.